heart, the Center for Health, Human Rights and Development in the Community Empowerment Program. And as you know, May is the Menstrual Hygiene Month. Let's continue to share knowledge and our experiences in menstrual health management. We continue to bring our experiences, and I invite all of you to listen in. And please feel free to share. At the end, we'll give you time to share your experiences as well. As you understand, we call menstrual health as everyone's responsibility, not only for women or girls, even our husbands, our boyfriends, our brothers. They also have a responsibility to take on, to support young girls, to support women, to enjoy the joy of being women. When you look at in Uganda today, most of our schools and institutions, most of them lack facilities to support young girls, especially to go through their menstrual periods smoothly. There is a general lack of information and knowledge, understanding on how they can conduct themselves, how to maintain their hygiene, where to change from, and even access to affordable materials to use during the time when they are having their menstruation. So today, I invite everyone, all of us, to break the silence. Let's challenge stigma that surrounds menstrual hygiene, menstruation. Let's empower girls and women in our spaces, in our workplaces, in the schools and communities, to enjoy and speak proudly and openly about menstruation. So we'll continue to do our series on X Space, this space to share more knowledge and educate each other, learn from each other about menstruation. And now today we are going to have 3 speakers. We are privileged to have Nancy Ayungi. She is the program officer that works with Grow Together. We are from the Karamoja region under Straight Talk Foundation. We have Lilian Niwabine, a midwife by training and practice, working with Aga Khan University. And she's a very passionate person, a practitioner regarding women's health. We also have Martha. Martha serves on the advisory committee and a member of Right Here, Right Now. Martha is a young person. She'll be sharing with us more perspectives regarding young people in regard to menstrual health. So with that short brief, allow me to invite our speakers. And I'll begin with Nancy Ayungi. With Lillian. Okay, we're going to begin with Martha to share with us the young person's perspective around menstrual health hygiene management. In your own words, Martha, please share with us your understanding on menstrual health and hygiene. You're welcome. Martha, can you share with us your experience as a young person regarding your understanding of menstrual health and management? So we all know that we are in the menstrual hygiene management month, and we continue to talk about menstrual health in our homes, in our society, so that people, young people who yes, as we continue to wait for our speakers to get ready, we thank you for joining in. We thank you for being part of the Twitter spaces that we've had. This is so far the third one that SEHAD is organizing in this month. And we call upon you to continue to break the silence, talk. And Nancy, Lillian, I can see you're ready. Can you please share with us from a health worker's perspective? What do you understand, or what can you share with us about menstrual health
Thank you very much,
education?
Sarah. Thank you very much, Sarah, for hosting
You're
me.
welcome.
And greetings to our lovely listeners. Once again, my name is Lillian Nwabine. I'm a midwife and women's health specialist working with Aga Khan University. So I feel honored to be given an opportunity to share about one of the most important topics, which is menstrual health, and one that is actually a very big challenge to our adolescents and women generally. So when we talk about menstrual health education, we are looking at a number of interventions that go beyond just school, but also looking at being able to provide comprehensive health education to the young girls and also to the women generally. But we don't stop at providing them with the knowledge, especially about the menstruation process or the menstrual cycle, but we also go ahead and tell them about the interventions, like you are going to use sanitary pads or any other sanitary products, and the kind of facilities that you are going to be able to utilize, and also menstruation in general. So in menstrual health education, once again, we go ahead to inform the young girls and women about the menstruation process, what it is, or the duration or the time it takes, the challenges that as a young girl or as a woman that you're going to go through, and also how you can be able to manage the, such kind of challenges. But also we inform them that actually menstruation is a normal process. Menstruation is not something that is abnormal, but it is something that is very normal, and it's a natural process. So we inform the young girls and women about this, so they should not be worried if menstruation starts. And also we go ahead to inform them, for example, the young girls, maybe nowadays even be 8 years or 9 years. So we inform them that starting 9 years or onwards, anytime you're going to be able to start your menstruation. And for you to start your menstruation, it means, what does it mean to a young girl? It means that at this time, yes, there are bodily changes that are happening, the hormones are coming into play. That means you're now turning from just being a young girl, but a woman. And that means that actually that you have started your menstruation, that means that you can be able to conceive or to get pregnant if you engage with a man. And what does it mean for a young girl, for example, like you, to, engage with a man and you get pregnant? That comes with maybe other, can be challenges or complications as a young girl. So menstrual or menstruation health education, it is more about providing the young girls and the women the knowledge about menstruation, going ahead to tell them about the interventions or, the sanitary maybe products that can be used, and also the facilities that can be put into play. Thank you very much from the health workers perspective.
So, as before you get off, I would like to know: do you think young people as young as 8 years need to learn or hear, get this knowledge about menstrual health and hygiene? Or at what age do you think young girls should get the information and education about menstrual health?
Thank you very much, Sarah, for that, interesting question. So, we are now into, we have what we call the National Sexuality, education, or plan or document that is in place, though it has not been, completely implemented. But also, based on that, we have also as a woman or as a girl, the stages or development process that one undertakes. So the information that you're going to provide, for example, to a 15-year-old girl, or even a 10-year-old girl, or even an 8-year-old girl, or even a 5-year-old girl is different how you tailor it in terms of tailoring it. For example, you have a 5 to 8-year-old girl. The kind of information that you provide, even when it comes to this menstrual hygiene and menstrual health and hygiene and education, the way you provide that information, you may provide it, but when it is tailored to according to the age. And the way you provide information for a 9 or to 11-year-old girl, you're now making it a bit more comprehensive. And when even it is beyond that, you're even now going into its comprehensivity. So starting even from 7, 8 years and 9 years, you need to be able to provide this information. But for example, if you're providing information to a 7 or 8-year-old girl, there is a way you package it, in a proper way, but make sure that they also understand at that age. When you go to those that are 10 to 11 years, that actually even or almost starting, or even others may start now, you even make it more comprehensive, so that actually they even understand it. So I believe that from the health workers perspective, right away from 6, 7, 8 years, you're already providing information, but tailoring it according to their age, softening it a little bit so that you don't pump them that much information which they may not understand because of their age. But as you also advance the age to 8 years, 9 years, because now we are seeing girls at 9 years in this, 21st century already starting their periods. So that means they should be having information on what periods is all about, what menstruation is all about, what they will undergo, and how they can be able to manage that. And as you proceed like that. So I believe that 6, 7, 8 years, you should be able to provide information which is tailored according to age, and you advance it also according to age. Thank you very much.
Wow, that's very good and helpful information, Lillian. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And I see Reverend Nathan online. You are welcome. I will please request you later, after Martha, you'll share with us from the religious perspective what we can learn from you. And at this moment, allow me to invite Martha, a young person, to share with us experiences, not necessarily her experiences, but from the young person's perspective, what she understands by menstrual health education, hygiene and management. Please, Martha, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. My name is Martha. I am a youth advocate at Reproductive Health Uganda. So what I understand about menstruation, this is the regular discharge of blood through the vagina. But it also means, as a young person, it means that I have grown up. It means that at any one point I can get pregnant. My body is now in the reproductive stage. So that is what it means to have menstruation as a young person. Yes.
Thank you, Martha, for sharing with us from a young person's perspective. Reverend Nathan, sorry for hijacking you, but would love to hear from you using the religious lens. Kai, is there anything unique that you can share with us concerning menstrual health education? You're welcome. Okay, I see, Reverend, you are still preparing. Let's continue and share with our speakers for today. Would like to hear from Lillian. Who do you think takes up the role of passing on information to the young people, the young girls, at home or in schools? Who do you think should take the responsibility, or who actually takes up the responsibility in actual sense in our Uganda today?
Oh,
Is it the role of a parent? Is it a health worker, or should we leave it to the senior woman at school?
thank you very much, Sarah, for that interesting question. Yes, as you have stated, whose role should it be to be able to inform these young girls about menstruation? Is it a role of parents? Is it a role of teachers? Is it a role of the community, leaders or relatives, aunties, senga? Whose role is it? Thank you very much for that, important question. So, what I always say as Lillian is that charity begins at home. And what do I mean by that? That even you as a parent, you have a very big role to play when it comes to this. Most of the times, or unfortunately, we as parents, we tend to push, such kind of roles to teachers. But charity begins at home. Whatever you want your child to learn, whatever you want your child to do, it should be able to start from home. So when it comes to, sometimes we call them sensitive issues, as the community calls them. For example, like menstruation, or we call it like a taboo, or unheard of, or a word that should not be said. This still comes to us as parents in our homes. It is us as parents that should be able to teach our young girls of 7 years, 8 years, 9 years about the upcoming process, natural process, which is menstruation. So I believe that it is our role as parents to be able to take our children, our young girls into this, kind of sensitization or education about menstruation, menstrual health, hygiene, and all that. But also, I believe that also as a parent, you have done your role. But when these children go to school, because you realize that children spend over 6 to 8 hours at school, that means that the school has a very big role to play. And that's why, as women's like health workers, or even the sexual reproductive health advocates or maternal child health advocates, we are still recommending and requesting the government of Uganda to be able, or Ministry of Education, to approve this national sexuality education plan that is that is already there, so that actually children are able to access this kind of, or be provided with this kind of information, because part of the information that is there is menstruation. That means that also as teachers, they have a role to play, being able to teach this young girl about menstruation, what it is, the duration it takes, the changes that are going to happen, and also how to be able to manage it. So I believe on top of the parents, the teachers, or you can say senior woman or the senior women, have also a big role to play. But also, as if that is not enough, I still believe that the community has a very big role to play. Long ago, I'm not sure if in some areas or, some parts of Uganda, this still exists, but I believe they do exist, where you have, some of those relatives can be an auntie, it can be some of the respectable women in the community, cultural leaders, religious leaders, and some of those, highly respected people in the community, they would gather, bring these young girls, be able to take them through also an aspect of menstruation on top of the other, sexual reproductive health, kind related topics. But they would also be able to take them through, for example, menstruation, the changes that are happening as young girls grow and how they're going to enter into puberty and so forth. So I believe that it's not only parents that have a role, I believe that parents have a big role to play in terms of, menstrual health education to the children, but also that teachers at school, they have a role to add or even to add onto what their parents have, shared, or even to clarify some of the myths and perceptions, but I also believe that a community has a very big role to play. So, generally, in conclusion, I still believe that each and every one of us has a role to play in grooming these children, in teaching them or giving them adequate information about an important aspect of for today, like menstruation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lillian, for sharing that good information. Martha, can you please share with us how should menstrual health education information be packaged and shared with our young girls, our sisters, so that they can get the right information?
Thank you. So menstrual health information should be packaged in a way that it is age appropriate. It should be given to kids as young as 6 years, where a parent tells their child that small things as a man shouldn't touch your body. When you grow up to this age, you're going to start growing breasts and all that. So it's more of giving age appropriate information, but also in schools. We need to normalize having these talks. As privileged to study my primary school at a time when always used to go to schools and talk about periods with both boys and girls. So this helped to also helped the teachers to bring up the topics while in class, to talk about menstruation, what a girl is going to go through and all that. But it also helped the boys understand that this is what menstruation feels like for a girl, but also to prevent that whole body shaming issue. So it's all about packaging the information in a way that is easy for a child to comprehend, but also easy for her not to feel ashamed to ask for help for pads, but also in case she's in school and she stains, it's easy for her to ask help from maybe a boy or a girl to escort her to like the sick bay and get maybe an extra pair of uniform and access pads. Yes.
Thank you so much, Martha. And at this time, allow me to bring in Reverend Nathan to share with us something related to religion. And I would like to hear from you. You can share with us how religion or culture, whether it has any influence regarding how parents, how community members or church members share or should share information around menstrual health with their daughters and the young ones in the community. Thank you.
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you loud and clear.
Okay, Reverend Nathan here. One of the advocates for menstrual health management, menstrual health awareness, but most especially dignified menses. Now, we have a challenge. One, sometime back when we were growing up, I now have the authority to say sometime back when we were growing up, Menstruation was here and it was always there, but it was always, it was a community concern. So many people used to stay with, maybe their siblings, sisters, elders, but we never saw them menstruating because it was handled very well. Menstrual products were available and it had the dignity that it required. But now, as time has gone by, I don't know, maybe because of a breakdown in social systems, social cultural shock absorbers, we are here. Now, the major challenge to menstruation as we speak right now is the issue of myths and misconceptions about menstruation. And this may include when the girls begin menstruating, then they are ready for sexual activity, they are ready for marriage. The failure of parents to provide menstrual products to their girls. Then the feminization of menstruation. This one I've argued it out and I've talked about it quite several times. That menstruation is not a feminine issue. Menstruation is an issue for all of us. The moment we reduce menstruation to women and girls, then that's where the challenge comes. So one of the myths and misconceptions that is killing us is the issue of menstruation is for girls and women. Therefore, men, boys are not concerned at all. But remember, some of these misconceptions and myths are coming from religion and culture. Where is religion? Religion is in the home, where we have quite a number of taboos, where we have a lot of beliefs, myths, misconceptions, and distorted thinking and attitudes towards menstruation in homes. Because ideally we stay in homes. Human beings are social animals, so we stay in homes where we have parents, where we have siblings, where we have relatives, and where we have all these people. So at the end of the day, the home, you ask me what can religion and culture do, but what can people generally do? Remember, we are Africans, and Africans are made up of culture and religion. That's what defines us, culture, religion. So in the home, in part of advocacy, but also our call, that the home should be a safe haven for dignified periods, such that girls, first of all, we deal with stigma from home, we deal with discrimination from home, we deal with myths and misconceptions from home. Then we encourage the fathers and the boys to get involved in menstruation business. Why do we say this? These are brothers and sisters in a home. The boys should be able to be stigma free on issues of menstruation. The boys should be able to support girls when they are menstruating. The boys should be able actually to recognize that, well, my sister has had some hormonal changes, therefore they have maybe mood changes, maybe they have a reduction in energies, maybe they're like this, so I have to support my sister. Now, through supporting my sister from home, that means I'll even support my sister in class. We are primary school children in class, we are secondary school children, we are university students. I need to support my classmates in class. So by the way, don't forget that quite a number of girls, I don't know, around 2011, 2012, 2013, it was very clear that out of 10 girls, about 8 received their first menses by surprise. They received their first menses without any information, without any preparation from parents. So the home is very important, such that the caretakers prepare our girls and prepare our young people for menstruation, so that menstruation is no longer an attack. You know, the first menses, they may attack in school, they may attack in the church, they may attack in the taxi. If they attack that way, I mean, people are able to support. So this should be comprehensive in a way that it supports both boys and girls Even fathers, we should not forget that some of these pads, actually not even some, but majority of the pads, these are expensive products. You get? So when we have fathers that don't care about menstruation, when we have fathers that are always drunk, when we have fathers that are not economically well, they may not be able to provide for their families, especially menstrual products. So that's the family. Then from the family, we go to the community. In the community, we have the churches, we have the cultural institutions, we have the local leaders, we have the civic leaders, we have the opinion leaders. Now, these are very important in education because children, young girls, young women, they stay in communities. You get, as a priest, one of my major challenges is I always ask that question, as I pastor my church, as I pastor my parish, am I able to provide health information, including menstrual health education to my people, such that my people cannot perish because they lack wisdom? You know, the Bible clearly says, Hosea 4:6, that my people perish because they lack knowledge. So people that lack knowledge, you may find even in churches, in mosques, in worship centers, in culture centers, when they're the epitome of these myths and misconceptions, but also discrimination, that, oh, well, a woman in her menses cannot serve. A woman in her menses may not do this. That is very wrong. But also, I want to implore you that at times we may say that they are wrong. But the fact is, they're not going to give us what they don't have. Each one of us gives what they have. We are able to discuss and give out this information because we have got to school, we have got information, we have been enlightened, our capacity has been built. Therefore, we can discuss some of these things. The question is, I want us to ask a question. Okay, every village has a church, has a mosque, has how many religious leaders can ably speak about this? You may find some religious leaders being custodians of ignorance on health issues, including menstrual health education. You get that? So we want them to give us what they have. This is where I implore all of us, creating and building capacity of the leaders, religious leaders, cultural leaders, civic leaders, opinion leaders, so that none of them can give us what they have, because they're not going to give us what they don't have. Then maybe when we get up from the community, then we go to the policy level. Yes, the policy, because health is politics, but also menstrual health is part of the politics. Therefore, at the end of the day, creating an environment, policy, tax, enforcement, the way forward, such that at the end of the day, people can access menstrual health, or people can access menstrual health products at a cost that is not high, that is not exaggerated. We have said this question. Condoms are free. Condoms are free. HIV testing is free. But no, menstruation is a natural process. Whether I like it or not, it has to come. Why aren't we doing something? You get? Why don't we reduce taxes on menstrual products such that at the end of the day, everybody, because this is dignity. You get failure for people to have, for women and young girls to have dignified menstruation. It is humiliation and it is an attack on their humanity. The person of themselves. It is an attack on the person of themselves if they don't menstruate with dignity, because don't forget that all of us are because of menstruation. We are because of the menstrual process. We are because of that gynecology of menstruation. We are because of the physiology of menstruation. Therefore, at the end of the day, it cannot continue, being a burden. It cannot continue being this. So as I conclude, one, we target the home, because the home is surely where our people stay, where girls stay. Number two, involve boys and men. By the way, not only boys and men that we think about, even married. Part of my ministry is the marriage ministry, but you find men who cannot even be patient when their women are menstruating. This shows sometimes cases, some come when women are saying no, these guys, they cannot wait. They cannot consider us. They don't understand the dynamics. If we have a generation of men in marriages and relationships that have a lot of ignorance as far as menstruation and the process of menstruation. The menstrual cycle, if they are ignorant, that means we are doomed. That's why we need to target them. Then schools being a safe haven, schools having, schools being menstrual friendly, incinerators, you get, changing rooms, sanitary areas, running water in the sanitary facilities. This is a deliberate action where we are going to make a lot of noise. Because I mean, where do girls go to change their pads? You get that? In overcrowded, where do girls go? I mean, all these things. Then, as the policymakers, we do our part. The advocates will do our part. Then, decolonization of menstruation. Lydian is here. Normally, we sometimes when we meet, we argue about health, and also Martha. How can we localize health such that at the end of the day, after speaking a lot of English, we can speak menstruation in our local terms, in our local dialects, such that even a guy who is right now who has been drinking from morning can understand menstruation. Right now, I didn't go to Kampala. I am in my parish here, and I've been moving around. But there is a drinking spot where guys have been there from morning. I passed there in the morning. They were drinking and playing Ludo. Until now, I've just gone there to check on them. They are still drinking and playing Ludo. But remember, they still have the patriarchy. They still have toxic masculinity. They believe they have power over women. Now, how does Reverend Nathan rate himself? Question. For his ability to go to that drinking counter and explain to those guys and explain to also the women that are there that are drinking, so that at the end of the day we take this information to the grassroots where the real problem is, where the real challenges are. At the end of the day, we need to mobilize from the grassroots. Now, when I speak about menstruation and health, I may speak for a full hour, but I beg to end here. Thank you. Yes, Sarah, can you hear me?
We can hear you, Reverend Nathan. I think Sarah should be able to respond. Sarah?
Okay, seems Sarah has network challenges, but maybe. Sarah, are you there? Maybe, Lydian, as Sarah comes, how do you localize menstrual health education? Because at the end of the day, where the real challenge is not among the English speakers, but the grassroots. So how can we localize and contextualize mental health education as we demystify myths and misconceptions?
So I think, just like, thank you very much, Reverend Nathan, once again, for sharing, giving us that comprehensive information about menstrual health. So just like you said, I still believe, as you actually brought it even up, that menstrual health is not just business. Menstruation is not just business for girls and young women and women, but it is business for everyone. Despite you being a boy or being a man, this information is still important for you. Yes, as you say, for example, I am a young girl, and for us, maybe for those of us who are now grown women, but we were young. Sorry about that. I hope that I'm now back. Sorry about that. So I was saying that all of us, even like us now, we are grown-up women, but at one time we were young. And it was the responsibility of our parents to take us through menstruation. But maybe our parents were not able to do a good job due to different reasons here and there. Sometimes, because they are not aware. Other times, okay, they are ignorant. They do not have adequate information. But also, as we said, maybe the culture does not allow them, the myth, the beliefs, and all those affect them. But maybe some of us who are fortunate enough to be able to get such, adequate information about menstruation from our schools that we went to. Yes, we had senior women that were actually able to provide us that information, but also through the normal education and the curriculum, they were able to provide, some information about menstruation. We were fortunate enough to get that opportunity. But also, even when we were in those schools, some of us were fortunate enough to get information about menstruation from even our colleagues. You can all be in school, but an older colleague is able to provide such information. Or even you see a fellow colleague has maybe started menstruation earlier, and you're inquisitive to know, and you're able to be given such information. So I still believe that, as you have said, Reverend Nathan, it is the responsibility of our parents or us as parents to be able to provide comprehensive information about menstruation, menstrual hygiene to our children. It is also a role from a school perspective, the teachers, the senior women, to be able to provide information. It is also the responsibility of the community, starting from the cultural leaders, religious leaders, the political leaders, to be able to provide such information. But also it is the responsibility of, from the stakeholders level or from the policy-making level of the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Gender, other relevant organization, and the government of Uganda in general, plus more, to be able to provide, to prioritize this natural process of menstruation and provide, adequate set up policies and safe spaces that are good for children when it comes to menstruation or young girls. So I believe that each one of us still has a role. And as we say that menstruation is a natural process, honestly. It is not something that, as you said, even from history, it is not something that is new. It has been happening, it is happening, and menstruation will continue to happen, whether we want it or not. So the earlier that we accept it, we, contextualize it, we find out actually solutions on how to be able to manage it appropriately, even when it is a natural process, the better. And of recent, I was in one of the workshops, and I got to have some, someone from the Center for Human Health and Development talked about one of their running projects that is in the Karamoja and Teso regions. And what hit me hard, talking about the young girls in the Karamoja region that actually use soil, get some soil, I don't know how they put it on the cloth or knicker, put some holes, and then someone is menstruating, and that's what they are using. So as one is menstruating, blood is able to go through, get absorbed from the soil, something like that. And I said, no, this is too much, because from the health perspective, as a midwife and women's health specialist, you're talking about putting soil and, in your private parts, if I'm to sound, as a good girl or as a good musau, and you're looking at the high risks in terms of infection, in terms of tetanus, and, all that. So I still believe that we have a very big role to play. And then also, not only using soil as one of the measures to manage menstruation or menstrual products, but also using leaves, using, rags. So we still have a long way to go. So I still believe that each one of us has a very big role to play in order to be able to save these young girls. A role from home, a role from school, a role from each and everyone in the community and our various stakeholders. Thank you very much. I'm not sure if the Sarah from Sehad is online, or I can proceed and talk.
Yes, Lillian, thank you.
Okay, please. Thank you.
I'm online. Sorry, we had a technical issue here, but we've managed to resolve it.
Great.
So, Lillian, before you go away, please, we need to hear from you much more. Today we are learning a lot of information from you and the other speakers. And today is the International Day to End Obstetric Fistula. What is the linkage between menstruation and fistula? Are the two in any way related? Are they one and the same? Are they one the cause of the other? Please demystify all the myths around the relationship, whether they are related or not.
share with us from your health background.
Okay, thank you very much, Jacqueline, for asking about that. The relationship between menstruation and fistula. So we are going. Please allow me to take you back to the basics. When we talk about menstruation, what does it mean? So menstruation basically is the monthly shedding of the lining of your uterus. Sometimes we call it, menses. Other people call it the menstrual period or period, or even other people call it the menstruation cycle. But all in all, you have, partly blood and partly tissue that is from the inside of your uterus and flows from your uterus through your cervix as a woman and then out of your body through your vagina. Scientifically, that is how I can state it. In normal language, you can say that you have blood that is coming out of, your vagina or private parts, which is a normal monthly period that happens. In some people, it is monthly. Other people, depending on how your cycle, is, it can even be twice. But usually we say monthly. And usually this period, this menstruation is driven by hormones. So I may not really go into the details of the hormones, but we have mainly what we call the pituitary gland that is in your brain, me and you and the girls, but of course also in the men. But this time we are focusing on the women. And also we have what we call the ovaries, which are part of the reproductive system. So these, the pituitary gland and the ovaries, that are there, they're able to make and release those certain hormones at one time of, of your menstruation cycle. So when that happens, depending at the time of your cycle, then you have these hormones causing the lining of the uterus to thicken, and then one can be able to shed blood. So this is basically about menstruation. But how about when we talk about fistula? Is it the same as menstruation? Is it any different? So with fistula, you're looking at an abnormal opening between a woman's genital tract and maybe her urinary tract or the rectum. I want to see how I can use very easy words so that each and every one of you is able to understand, and you're not like her. Lillian has gone so much into science, has gone in so much into that. So we are looking at a fistula being an abnormal opening between a woman's genital tract, to the uterus, to the cervix, to the vagina, like that. So that's it, open. If you get an abnormal opening between that tract and also maybe the urinary tract, yes, and also or even the rectum. So usually, for example, for a woman, during, when you're pregnant and now labor has come in, and you get maybe obstructed labor, that is maybe, let's say, difficult labor process or childbirth. So you find that despite the good uterine contractions that this woman is having, instead of this baby descending and going through the pelvic canal, it is very hard. It could be due to different reasons. Maybe the baby's head could be too big, or the baby is generally big, and they are unable to pass through the pelvis or the pelvic canal. But this woman's pelvic canal has structures around it, and one of the structures, you have the bladder, you have the rectum. All those are different structures that are surrounding the woman's pelvic canal, all around the woman's pelvic canal. So despite the good the intense uterine contractions that this woman is having, the baby is unable to go through the pelvic canal. But there is a lot of pressure that is applied on the pelvis. So that what happens? That means that this woman can be able to, unfortunately, have an opening. For example, have an abnormal opening between the uterus and the bladder, or have an abnormal opening between maybe the vagina itself and the bladder. The bladder is for urine, or the vagina itself and the urethra, or even the vagina itself and the rectum, or even very many others. The uterus itself and also the vagina. All those are abnormal, openings that can happen, especially in difficult childbirth, and that can lead to a fistula. So all those are different types of fistulas, depending on where the abnormal opening happens. So I hope that we can be able to differentiate between menstruation and a fistula. But, for example, if there is an abdominal opening that has happened between the uterus and the bladder during maybe difficult childbirth, and then later on it is not managed, what can happen? That means that a woman will be there, and maybe during their periods, then the blood is able to move now from the uterus and it connects to the bladder, or even the other way around. So menstruation is totally different from obstetric fistula, but it's important to be able to understand these two different important points. But also, it's most important that we understand, since today is International Day to End Obstetric Fistula, please allow me to inform you that annually or even each year, between 50,000 to 100,000 women worldwide are affected by obstetric fistula, which I have shared more details about you. And, this fistula has affected the quality of women, the quality of life for these women. In some, cases, and this is the reality, when these women actually undergo difficult childbirth and they develop such kind of obstetric fistula, you find maybe urine is leaking, it's uncontrollable, so urine is leaking, that means the woman is smelling. Can you go in public when you're smelling? Then also you can find, for example, if there is an abnormal opening between maybe the vagina and the rectum, so you find also there is, we have also feces leaking from this woman, and very many other complications. So you can imagine if your wife or your sister or your mother or even your friend is undergoing, such, that means that obstetric fistula, it is high time to be able to, for us to understand that it is real, and if you are unable to deliver from a health facility, because we are not aware of your outcomes or during childbirth, that means you can easily ascertain such a complication like obstetric fistula. And if it is not even managed, the quality of life of a woman will be totally compromised. In fact, you'll find that in most of the communities, these women, are put into shame, they are being discriminated, and, they are being, embarrassed because they are smelling urine, they are smelling feces, the quality of life is compromised. As a woman, you can't even engage in sexual intercourse because, the feces are leaking, urine is uncontrollable, and very many other complications. So menstruation, as much as it is important, as we are discussing about it, and we're having the flow of blood right away through the vaginal canal, it is totally different from fistula, which is an abnormal opening between the woman's genital tract and also the urinary tract, or even the rectum. I think briefly that's how I can be able to differentiate the two. Thank you very much. Maybe you may want to ask me, how is the fistula being managed? Well, as I said, if a woman gets fistula, it may be your sister, it may be your friend, it may be your mother, or even any other person that you know or you don't know. In case you get to realize or even try to understand that they may have developed obstetric fistula, it is advisable to tell them to go to a nearby health facility, one that is a little bit advanced. That is, for example, from a health center for district hospital, regional referral hospital, national referral hospital, to be able to seek further, assistance. And majorly, this is being managed through surgery. A simple hole is made, and surgery is done, and then one is being managed appropriately. A hole is being closed surgically. And at this time, when a hole is being, closed surgically, that means you have gone to a hospital, at least a health center for where there is a doctor or a surgeon. So once this hole is closed surgically, at least a woman is able to achieve continence. They have control over their bladder, when to susu or pass urine or when not to. And the same from their, anal part, they can be able to control the sphincter muscles, when to pass stool or when not to. But also when the hole is surgically closed, the woman's, normal sexual life is restored, and also fertility. But also most importantly, once, a fistula is repaired, the woman is able to have at least safe delivery in the future. So imagine, that means that if they are not managed, this woman does not go back to a health facility or does not deliver from a health facility, they will, their sexual life will be affected, their fertility will be affected, the community quality of life will be affected. And of course, when this fistula is managed, the woman can be reintegrated back into the community. One can come just like me and you as ladies or women, live safely within the community with any other person. We are happy and our quality of life is important and good. Thank you very much. Over to you, Jackie.
Thank you very much, Lillian, for sharing this very good information to distinguish between menstruation and fistula. Because, there's a lot of untrue information that circulates in the communities. And this is very good to help us understand the clear distinction. And from this space, I've learned something very, very important. That's talking about menstruation and menstrual hygiene with young girls before their first period is very, very important to prepare them on how to conduct themselves, to gain confidence, and the whole management issue, how they can manage themselves and the other young girls around them. So now, before I'm going to call upon Martha to share. With us her call to action. And I also call upon members in the Martha, I can't hear you. Can we hear now from Reverend Nathan your call to action in a minute or two before we close, or invite any other person in the finale?
We didn't get your question. Can you please come again? Sarah, can you please come again? You were breaking.
Martha, I think Jacqueline was asking about the call to action from your side. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so I think Martha, we are unable to hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, kindly proceed.
Okay. My call to action is to have more male engagement in these discussions. We recently had a survey in Butakabukira slum near Molago, and we were talking to the men in the community, and these men were so negative towards menstruation, and we were asking them whose responsibility is it to talk about menstruation in a family between a mother and a father. And these men were so negative, and they were saying it's mainly the mother's role, and in incidences where the mother is not part of the family, in case the mother is dead or something, they would just give the daughters money to go and buy the pads without giving them any kind of information. So my call to action is to have fathers and all the men in our communities to talk about this, to have these conversations with their daughters, and not leave them to strangers out there, because charity begins at home. So if we need to have more of these discussions at home, and also teach young girls, give them information for ages as low as 6 years. Teach them that, you know what, when you start your menstruation, you're ready to conceive. You need to interact with men at a kind of level. Do not over interact with them where it leads to sexual to the sexual part. But yeah, we need to have these conversations more regularly, but also to have men involved in these conversations. Yes, thank you. Sarah, back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Martha. I think Jackie, my own Sarah, might be still having some issues, but I think allow me to proceed also from my side on the call to action. So as a midwife and women's health specialist, what's the call to action, even when we have discussed all this? So from my side, I think that there is need for the government of Uganda generally to be able to subsidize the cost of menstrual hygiene products. And why am I saying that? We are looking at communities or a family that is actually living on less than $1, less than 3,000 shillings or 3,000 or 4,000 shillings. And then we are looking at a packet of pads costing 3,000 shillings, 4,000 shillings, 5,000 shillings, and above, depending on where you buy it from. So, if you were to look at this family that is living on less than $1, and then the pad, maybe this family has around like 3 girls or 5 girls or even more. Yet monthly, these girls go in their periods. Can this family be able to afford some of those monthly, menstrual hygiene products? That means that those menstrual hygiene products like pads become a very big challenge. So I do recommend that the government of Uganda, Ministry of Health, and Ministry of Education and other relevant entities are able to advocate and ensure that actually we subsidize the cost of these menstrual hygiene products. If it requires these taxes that are put on these menstrual hygiene products to be reduced, let them be reduced. But also promoting the use of these reusable pads. And of recent, while in a workshop, one of the presenters from Straight Talk Foundation actually having a project in the Teso and the Karamoja region.
Lillian, we can't hear you, but at least she has shared very good information. Can we now hear from Reverend Nathan, your call to action?
Thank you, Jackie. Number one, defeminization of menstruation. Menstruation is not only about women and girls. Menstruation is our issue as a community because failure to manage menstruation well, it has very many adverse multiplier effects, like girls dropping out of school, like girls not being able to participate in the economy, like women not participating in the economy. So menstruation is our issue, all of us. Number two, it's a call for more male involvement and engagement because menstruation has proved to be a problem to us because men and boys are deliberately not concerned, but at times also men and boys just don't know what to do. They don't age. So male involvement is very key. Thirdly, more targeting of parents, because parents are the custodians of our children and young girls. Therefore, we need to target them with information. Remember, some of the parents are young parents who still need to be mentored, who still need to be parented, who need more information. Deliberately targeting religious and cultural leaders, because these are the custodians of beliefs, these are custodians of public perception, these are custodians of how people see things. And by the way, it is also a call for all of us players. Please involve us. Involve us to engage religious leaders, involve us to engage cultural leaders, involve us to engage the local communities, involve us as experts in male involvement to engage the boys and men in issues of menstruation. Lastly, it is a call to all of us to pass on the information in a localized, contextualized, and simple way. Because the people that are giving out myths, the people that are giving out wrong information are speaking. The people that are giving out wrong or disastrous information are talking. It is in one or the other. The voice of reason is not as vocal as the voice that is not doing us right. Therefore, it's a call for all of us. When a girl drops out of school because of menstruation, all of us pay, all of us lose. When a woman loses her dignity because of menstruation, all of us lose. When a woman cannot participate in the economy, when the woman cannot participate in trade, when a woman cannot participate in business, when a lady cannot participate in agriculture, when a lady cannot participate in adding value to their family because of menstruation, it is a loss to all of us. Therefore, menstruation is not all about only about girls and women. Menstruation is our issue that all of us should respond to it. But at the end of the day, we may have dignified menstruation, safe menstruation, and that nobody will be made vulnerable because of menstruation. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you very much, our speakers for today. We can't thank you enough.
Jackie?
You've really done justice.
Jackie?
Thank you for.
Hello, Jackie?
Thank you. Hello.
Yes, I had some call to action to add on. Sorry about that. Is it?
Sorry, we've run out of time, and apologies to our speakers and the listeners as well. We've passed the time that we had set, but remember we will have another space next week, 30th. On Thursday, we'll be discussing, we'll be focusing much more on the legal and policy environment around menstrual health. So we'll have more time to speak about these things, Lillian and the other members. And as we come to the end, allow me to appreciate the support that you get from Dutch Embassy through Rutgers and World Hunger Hilfe for always supporting us to talk about issues of young people, of women, health, and human beings as well. I thank all of you for sparing time, a full hour plus, to be part of the space. And please log in still again next week, 30th of May. At around the same time, 5 to 6, we'll be having more discussions on menstrual health and management. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.